All right, Chaz, we're back on the grit. It is March 12th.
Week sure went fast, didn't it?
It sure did. Man, we got more feedback last week than we've ever gotten before.
A lot of feedback, yeah.
What was the feedback that you saw?
I mean, I got only positive. Did you get any negative?
Well, positive for Cersei, positive for your wife, not positive for you necessarily.
No. Did I get negative? Oh, I mean, yeah. People are thinking, why in the world did she marry him?
That's what it is.
I got a bunch of those. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't at all like Chaz said something wrong last week. It was more like, wow, he better not ruin the best thing that's ever happened to him.
Don't you worry, everyone. I know. I know daily.
You're the first one to say it. You've been saying it. You've been
forever. The second I met her. Yeah. I really wouldn't call it suckering her in, but I really forced the hand. I forced quick.
Well, there was no bait and switch.
No.
Suckering would imply that you were selling a false, whatever.
Yeah, a bill of goods is what they call it. Do you know what a bill of goods actually means? When somebody says, I was sold a bill of goods.
No.
Have you heard the phrase bill of goods?
Of course. Yeah, I would just think it's a receipt, but you're right. It implies that you only got the bill, you never got the goods.
Way to figure it out. That's it. It's you bought a bill of goods, precisely.
Oh, you bought the bill.
You bought the receipt, and you didn't get anything in return. Yeah.
Do you know where raining cats and dogs comes from? With thatched roofs way back in the day, maybe like in England or whatever, there's nothing solid on the roof. It's just thatch. And so cats and dogs would sleep in the roofs for warming when it was raining. But if it rained hard enough and got saturated hard enough, the cats and dogs would fall through the thatch.
Amazing. That's a good one. I like it.
There you go. Man, all right, educational episode.
We could totally switch to like linguistic nuances, little phrases and whatnot. There's a dumbass show on NPR, San Diego, called A Way with Words, where they just discuss etymology and where folk sayings came from and all that. I want to honestly throw my car off the cliff when it comes on.
Really?
I hate it so bad. Just like whimsical little word plays, and they don't really know, the two hosts. It's like some dumb guy and girl, and they just sit there and like, that's a great question, and then like flip through a dictionary.
I feel like that's how a lot of people listen to our show.
Yeah.
Hate listen to our show. How many traffic collisions have we caused? Well, if we did that, actually, we could probably beat Cersei's episode.
We could.
If we were that regimented and provided that much insight.
Just got whimsical?
Yeah.
About words?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or something, like the education we provided 3 minutes ago.
Perfect.
We were talking before we got on air that you're responsible for teaching the youth that will ultimately lead our country.
That's it. The Black Box Academy of Noble Savages.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. This is a scary thought.
It is. We're like 6 or 7 months in at this point too. This is a going concern that's expanding next year. I mean, it's already expanded this year, but
so our future is in the hands of the youth, and they are in the hands of Chaz Smith.
Exactly.
Crazy.
It's what I feel like teaching on any given day. I've talked about my 5th grade teaching.
Well, yes, but it was always in the context of we're in the middle of a pandemic, and so you're cobbling together a lesson plan, trying to get them to sit in front of the iPad. Hopefully this will all be over soon.
Precisely, but this is forever. Realizing this laid school bare for me, where realizing and recognizing that what they're learning in school, I mean, school is just daycare, right?
Yes.
And I can do a better job than daycare. So sure, it takes time and takes energy, but who doesn't want to spend a little time and energy on their children's?
Well, you know why I brought this up? This entire episode is dedicated towards fatherhood.
Are you?
No.
Dang it! That was gonna be a nice on-air surprise.
No, Coach Charlie, Tyler Wright. There's a bunch of fatherhood themes happening in surfing right now.
It's true.
So that was the segue. You thought it was I was just making small talk.
No, but it's fantastic, and what a great topical discussion we can have today on fatherhood as it relates to professional surfing.
So, how are you as a teacher?
Well, in 5th grade, when I taught 5th grade for a year, I was invited not to come back to teach anymore.
And this was in a professional environment. This wasn't.
This was
COVID.
a professional environment. The days I suppose that I've thought, why with kids, right? I mean, this is 5th grade, so they're not actually young kids, but why make learning such a bummer? And so making learning not a bummer for me involved playing 5 hours of dodgeball a day with them. And that was it.
What were you supposed to be teaching them though?
Everything. Like just a normal, I mean, I was I was a like they weren't going to different classes. I taught math, English, history, reading, all of it. And yeah.
And did you have lessons built into the dodgeball game? Oh, okay.
No. I mean, the lesson was don't be slow. Or hit the slow kid. So
if you could dodge a wrench.
That's it.
And did the kids love you as a teacher?
I think they did. Their parents probably did not, and the school definitely did not. I went to my end of year evaluation, and the principal was like, I think he was really thinking that I wanted to teach the next year too, and so it was really like, we're gonna have to. Yeah, I mean, you're really hemming and hawing. And I was like, yeah, don't worry. Out of here, man. He's like, okay, good. Well, we would like to extend you the invitation not to come back and teach.
Hilarious. Yeah. Did you not need the job?
No, it was like I think it was the year between, I decided, I think midway to go back to school and get my master's. And so I just thought, yeah, I'm done with this. So I was already going to school again by the end of the year.
Okay.
Or was committed to the fall.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, it was not good.
Did you develop relationships with, were there any kids who you're like, man, this is a bright, shining star? I'm curious what they become when they're older.
Sort of. I wonder, so the thing at the end, 5th grade, in California, you have to take the standardized test that compares to the rest of California. Mm-hmm. And I felt good about myself because they all ended up exactly where I thought they would end up. Like the smart kids were smart, the not smart kids were not smart on the test. But then I thought back, maybe I could have made the not smart kids smarter instead of just watching them fail their standardized test. Totally. I could have given a hand up, but no, I did not do that. Had
they not been played 400 hours of dodgeball throughout the year, or maybe it was the head trauma incurred from the ball itself.
Oh man, I mean, I remember. For some reason I didn't want to teach American history, so I just decided to teach Afghan history instead. So spent our whole American history teaching the history of Afghanistan. Yeah, things like that. Yeah, so they know a lot about Afghanistan, those kids.
How old are those kids now?
This would have been 2000, would have been, I think, straight 2000 or maybe 99. So those kids are old.
Wow.
Yeah, those kids are now
robbing people.
Yeah, they're like 30s, mid-30s.
These kids are in the middle of doing a home invasion robbery at this moment.
It's cruel. Or maybe the 20. See, I taught so poorly my math. 5th grader is 10. 20 years ago makes him 30.
Yeah. So how are you different now teaching your daughter in her class?
Well, I mean, it's the same general principle of why does this stuff have to be, why do you have to stress? Like when she had a math test the other day, not at my school, or our school, but at regular school. And she was just like white knuckling in the morning. And I was thinking, she's in 2nd grade. Why is she so worried about a math test? Like she shouldn't have to worry about a math test ever. As long as you're, moving forward and understanding the concepts, then why do you have to worry? And this whole worry thing built in, I think, is only because parents want to compete with other parents. Mm-hmm. And so they want their kid to have a certain, not just grade at school, but measure well on these standardized tests and all this. And I don't care about any of this. I don't care how she measures to other people. As long as I know what the standards are or what she should know kind of, or the life skills and the, work that's going to be important, or as long as she's learning that, then who cares if she can do it under pressure, right?
100%. And she already has exhibited more personality, charm, or even intelligence than a lot of other kids that I've met at her age, which will all benefit. Like she will be able to do whatever she wants to do anyway. So those measures don't matter for her anyway.
Totally. And
unless she wants a job in an office in Irvine.
I mean, that's exactly it. And if she wants that, or she wants, some kind of professional development-y kind of thing, or to go down that path, or, even to go whichever path she wants to go, she can fully hop back into junior high or something, right? Like it's not like you're going to lose elementary, all the stuff you didn't learn in elementary school is going to haunt you for the rest of your life.
It's actually easier for her to transition from the life she's living now into that kind of what you just said, junior high, I want to learn math now, or I want to become normalized like all this or standardized like everybody else, that's an easier transition to make than one of those kids jumping into.
Completely. And I think though, the whole point of school as it is a one size fits all, more or less, and nothing against teachers or the educational system, but it's not geared towards, I don't know, to be tweaked. It can't be tweaked. That's the whole thing. It's an institution, but we can tweak this exactly, not to what our kids want, but mostly just about freedom of learning and excitement in learning and, just being able to have free thought, right? Not to be dictated to is mostly the goal.
Very good.
Yeah.
Are you actually, so when you're teaching or in this school environment, I forget the name of the school?
Yeah, it's the Black Box Academy of Noble Savages.
Got it. Are there actual math lessons that happen?
Yeah, there's math lessons, there's English lessons, there's history lessons, there's science, there's everything. It's just done on a sailboat. And yeah, learning math in a sailboat, for example, there's so much applied math that happens that, they're learning this stuff without it being stressy or weird and with it being fun.
Are you learning?
Yes. Learning, I've done more work, lesson planning and figuring it out and actually digging into theory again of, I don't know, concepts of language and stuff that I studied in college during my master's program, but that I haven't thought about since. So really getting into Chomsky and Derrida and, even theories of language learning, because the youngest kid in the youngest Savage is 3. And so even, teaching them to actually read. And then the oldest one is 2nd grade. And so, yeah.
And they're all in the same?
They're not. We split them up into novices and cadets. So the cadets are older, novices are younger. So little kids go off and learn how to read while the cadets, do more difficult tasks.
Sounds amazing.
Pretty fun.
I want to attend.
Come on board.
Do you accept dogs? I want to send Sophia.
Yes.
She just got upgraded from the little kids playpen to the big dog playpen at the Bone Adventure.
Is she liking it?
She loves it, man. She loves it. We just need it for her. We can't run out all of her energy, so a couple days a week we'll send her, and she comes home exhausted, which
fantastic.
Is what we need. Yeah, she loves the pool there too. Speaking of fathers that are absolutely killing it, and the fact that we're sitting in Album Surfboards right now that we owe a shout out to, Josh Kerr.
Sierra Kerr.
Josh Kerr raising Sierra Kerr.
An exceptional human being.
So the reason I bring him up is he, with Album Surfboards, just released a new edit called Sway.
How good was it? How good were his turns?
Incredible.
Do you think Josh Kerr has gotten better as a surfer, or do you think Matt Parker's surfboards have made Josh Kerr a better surfer?
I do. Yes, to both.
Yeah.
You mean post-tour?
Yeah. I love the way he surfed. I've always liked the way Josh surfs a lot, but his turns on those twin fins are, they seem progressive in a way I haven't seen surfing progressive in a minute.
Yeah, I agree.
Aside from the air, like everything went to the air, I feel. And so, you see progressive air tricks a lot, but rail surfing, like he's doing things differently than I've ever seen. It doesn't seem...
It's the most progressive shredding we've seen on a twin fin period. We were talking with Cersei last week about the definition of what is progress as it relates to trans rights and stuff like that and gender identity in general. But so I've always thought that was surfing too, because you watch Stephanie Gilmore and it is progressive, but it's not fin fang turns necessarily. So I think for the 90s and mid 2000s, progress was defined as going above the lip. And that's too narrow a definition.
Yep.
Because you watch Steph and you're like, wow, like the amount of flow and what she's doing in between turns, right, is modern.
Sure.
In a way that, I don't know, we haven't. So I think that's what we're seeing with Josh Kerr is, it's just allowing the board to go on the wave where it kind of wants to go based on the design of the board, what we might have called trim when Phil Edwards was finding trim. He's doing that, but it's accessing new places on a wave because of this board design. I've
only seen, I feel like my knowledge is not exhaustive, of course. I'm no surf historian, But I have only seen twin fins really ridden sort of retro style, right? Like where the twin fin was a retro board. That edit and what he's doing is not retro. It's not some throwback thing. No. It seems new.
But it also is relatable. It's kind of like, this board will allow me to kind of get a lot of waves. It'll allow me to get into the wave. It'll allow me to get barreled. It'll allow me to do a turn.
Did it make you want to get a twin fin? Do you have a twin fin in your quiver?
So I rode that album Twinsman for 2 months, borrowed it, and then we gave it away to one of our subscribers on the 1st of this month.
I met the man.
Did you?
Yeah. He was at Jackson Hole. He is a snowboard journalist.
Who?
The guy who, or maybe it's a guy who won a board. I don't know if he won the Twins.
It wasn't the Twinsman. I don't know. Maybe it was the soft top?
No.
Okay.
It was a surfboard. He won a surfboard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't the Twinsman because that just went down?
Uh-oh. Oops.
Oh, my gosh. Uh-oh. For anybody who heard the calamity, that was a surfboard falling.
Off the rack.
Off the rack.
Ouch.
Who's responsible for that?
Man, I'm so glad the door is closed and I had nothing to do with that one.
I know. Oh, no. Oh, man.
Oops.
Oh, well. Not our problem.
Shout out Tom.
At any rate, yes, so I rode that twin fin. I don't have one in my quiver now, but I did ride that for 2 months.
Does Kerr's edit make you want to get another one?
Yeah.
What did you ride it at? Did you ride it?
Everywhere.
I know, but what were your dimensions?
Oh, I'm sorry. It was a 6.0 and round pin.
So you didn't ride it short?
No. Which Josh Kerr does and Asher Pacey does. They ride it way short.
Would you like to ride?
I think I would actually. Because the ones they ride look more like a fish.
And the way it's in the pocket, it's so responsive what he's doing in the pocket, which seems like that's what you'd want.
Yeah.
That's what I'd want.
Well, for anybody who hasn't seen it, Sway is pretty amazing. Kind of the best. Also, like as a film, just beautiful.
Yeah.
Like really well made. So that's out there. Let's start with Tyler Wright, I think.
Let's do it. It's the big news, the huge news. The biggest news in surf, I'm going to say, all year.
You think?
Sure. What else has been? Besides silly COVID canceling and all that.
COVID debacle as it relates to WSL,
sure.
I'm tracking. But yeah, Tyler Wright. So this is a story that was written for ESPN. It's really exhaustive, long story. And essentially, it is about Tyler overcoming obstacles. Mm-hmm. So the big reveal, so we all know Tyler Wright took 2 years off due to illness after winning 2 world titles and came back and won the first event this season at Pipeline. And so that is overcoming of an obstacle. But the big reveal in this piece was kind of that she was pinning a lot of blame, let's say, on her father and her upbringing. And he was a tyrant. And the life of kind of the tenacity that she has as a competitor is all a result of her father and his upbringing. However, she never had a mind of her own. She was forced into it. It's her family's lifestyle. And so she kind of didn't even have a mind. She said she didn't have any thoughts of her own until she was already on tour living that life. And there's all this expectation for her to be a world champ. And she kind of rebelled against it. She had a crisis of identity once she got on tour and developed her own thoughts. And then she got sick, and now she's coming out of that illness with a new identity and is kind of a social justice warrior fighting for those who, have been oppressed and marginalized. And now she's going to take over the world with the eye of the tiger, with all of the talent and discipline that she had from her youth, but now with her brand new identity and a more kind of important cause that she's surfing and fighting for.
Well summarized. Yeah,
thank you.
Well done.
What are your thoughts on the piece?
Wow. I'm of two minds, I suppose. Awesome to finally sort of hear from her, like what happened, because all that was so mysterious, right? Like she just vanished and the WSL didn't say anything about it. She didn't say anything about it. Nobody said anything about it. She was just, it all seemed, whatever excuses were given didn't ring true and just seemed weird. And I don't know that this piece actually answered those questions. I feel I have more questions than answers, which she's not, I'm not entitled to those answers, nor is she to have any responsibility to give me those answers. But I did have more questions about, well, wait a second. I kept finding myself saying, wait a second, as I was reading it. Also, I thought it was a bit unfair to her father in terms of, and the people that she kind of blamed. I mean, from the, toxic WSL or whatever. Yeah, it was WSL the whole time she's been on it, right? Or she was never part of the ASP, was she? No. I
think it was all WSL since she's been on tour.
Yeah. So anyway, that like real toxic tour, and her dad, the heavy hints that her dad provided a toxic kind of energy in her upbringing and all this, that it was kind of unfair that he or people close to him weren't given the opportunity, or there was no space for them in the article, right? It was just, which tie back into the other big news story of the week, the whole Meghan Markle, Prince Harry interview of saying things and then letting those things stand without, like where Meghan Markle could say people were racist in the palace, right? And she didn't have to provide any proof of that. Not that, not that I don't believe her, but it seems like if you're going to make accusations, you should provide some kind of, proof. And just in our culture anymore, you just say something and it's over, right? Like you say, this person is sexist, this person is racist, this person is abusive, this person is whatever. And if you're, I guess not a white heterosexual male, people fully believe what you say on the grounds of you saying it, which I just think is fairly dangerous. I think I would like us to get back to, personally, a little more circumspect of, if you're going to level an accusation, then back it up. And, or if somebody's leveling an accusation, then the writer doing the story or whatever should go do a bit of extra research.
Correct. So this piece wasn't the investigative journalistic piece that you're asking for. This piece was a profile, a character study or a profile on this athlete. And so the only voices, in addition to Tyler's, were Jessie Miley Dyer from the WSL, who is Tyler's friend, and Sal Masekela, who is, commenting on kind of the social justice part of Tyler's new campaign.
Yeah.
But no dissenting voices.
Yeah.
They certainly didn't interview her parents or her siblings. And so, yes, that would have been more interesting for you and I, but that wasn't what the piece was.
Sure.
So I'm not anti that. And I agree with what you're saying is the broader culture can't now cancel her dad because it was just her opinion on what took place. How do you feel about her even calling out her dad in that kind of a way? There's a part of me that cringes when you put your family on blast, and maybe, look, who am I to even have an opinion on her family dynamics, right?
Sure.
So maybe she's fully justified in doing that, but I don't know.
I'm fine with her blasting her dad. I mean, if she feels like, and the piece is so, it was careful, right? A bit, because she doesn't come out right out and totally smash him in the face, but between the lines, that's it appeared to me that's what was happening, right? Where like it was a real takedown of her, not only her dad, but the way she was brought up entirely. And I guess I don't have a problem with that so much. I would have just liked for the writer to go get someone, if the dad wasn't, capable of speaking, get somebody close to him to at least speak for him. Just say, hey, look, I was there and, it looked this way to me.
The author said that she referenced that the dad is in early stages of dementia.
Yep.
And that was almost an excuse for not interviewing him, which isn't fair.
But totally. And again, with this whole Wright family saga, where we have brain injury from duck dive, we have mystery illness and PTSD that doesn't get, even spoken of till way later. And there's still, I have so many questions about that still. And then early onset dementia,
right?
Which, what does that even mean?
Well, the direct quote to kind of validate what you're saying from the piece was, Tyler told her father, "You have a choice. You can be my dad or my manager." He said, "I'm your manager."
Yeah.
So he basically chose to be a professional in her life rather than the personal connection. So the other question I'll ask you is kind of the initial social response backlash against the article was, "Hey, Tyler, cry me a river.
Yeah.
We have no sympathy for you. you are a millionaire. You have more privilege and access to resource than the vast majority of humans ever have across cultures and across time. And by the way, the system that you are kind of trying to hold to account, you won 2 world titles in.
Yeah.
How corrupt could it be if you won 2 world titles in this system and have earned more money off of it than any of your predecessors in terms of female surfers? So, like, we have no sympathy for you. How do you feel about that?
You know, I don't know, because again, comparing it to the Markle, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex interview, I hear what they're saying and I get it. And I very clearly, they feel a certain way, but I don't know how it can be helped to think, well, come on, like you are fully gilded, and to not pretend that you're gilded or to pretend that your struggles are not that they're not on par with, people sending their kids to bed hungry, or, people not being able to make ends meet, or, people at the very lower, people who have slipped through the safety net, let's say, or society's safety net. It just seems it's jarring. But then when you say it's jarring, it feels like you're discounting their experience, right, which I'm not willing to discount their experience either. So long way of saying, I suppose, and cheap way of saying, I like what Long Tom said in his summation on Beach Grit, which is basically, this is at least interesting, right? Like,
sure,
good or bad, agree or disagree, this is something that we haven't seen, especially on the women's side of the tour, where we're going to have now, something that's not just milquetoast.
Can I read from Long Tom's piece?
Yes.
Summing up the internet's response that I just tried to put into words, he said, "A woman with all the earthly riches and fame that eluded earlier generations of women's pro surfers claiming to be oppressed in an existential fashion to the point of life and death by the very thing that has elevated her into the sporting pantheon. This is incredible stuff. Tolstoy could not compress this into a novel 1,000 pages long." And then Long Tom says of his own opinion, "I do not disrespect this unfathomable zebra of an athlete for a second. I hope you all radically revise your position vis-a-vis Tyler Wright, as I have done. More than anything, I'm pumped that this anger, this rage she references will be a cleansing fire for the cutesy-wootsy but diabolically dysfunctional charade of women's pro surfing. All the body image pressure, the self-loathing, the homeschooled pathway, homophobia, racism, the psycho dads, et cetera, it's all fair game now. All thrown on the pyre of Tyler's righteous fury. What a wonderful development. Who will be next to flame on? I predict Carissa. Steph may follow suit." So I agree with that. I think the thing that Oprah was trying to do with Meghan Markle, and I think the thing that the ESPN author was trying to do, is humanize these people that have been put on a pedestal. So, and I think that they're accurate in saying that. I think humans are humans. It doesn't matter how much wealth and privilege you have, you still feel lonely. You still feel vulnerable. You still feel unworthy. So I think it's important to not discount people of privilege's feelings. And I'm not an apologist because I am somebody who has privilege in certain ways, but I just think it's important to recognize humans are humans.
I think it is too, but I also think the flip side, which JP Curry did in his, I suppose it wasn't a rebuttal to Long Tom's, but it was a different opinion, which is, when you damn people, more or less, where did it's just disappeared. Sort of this idea that somebody gets to defend themselves is gone, right? And so you can have a Markle saying the palace was racist without anybody going to the palace and saying, or without Markle thinking that she needed to bring any sort of evidence, right? That I can say something blanket and I can hang this cloud over without providing anything. And I feel that Tyler did a similar thing of hanging a pretty dark cloud over her father without any effort or no apparent effort made to get his side of the story.
Yeah. And that's not her responsibility, obviously.
It's not. And that's I made a movie about a female pro surfer without any, I didn't go, Lisa's father's passed away, but, or with the Lisa Anderson movie, but I made a conscious decision not to talk to anybody else, only have Lisa tell her story, but not to talk to Sal or Jesse Miley Dyer either, right? Jesse Miley Cyrus, where this is I made a very clear artistic decision to have one voice saying one thing. I think once you start having, once Jesse Miley comes into the conversation or Sal, then you better kind of broaden this net, because now you're telling more. If it was just Tyler talking, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Tyler, though, just certain voices being interviewed and certain voices being left out, I thought was unfair to the story.
Agreed. So my takeaway, while I said I think that it's important to kind of humanize all people, and not vilify these people just because they have privilege, my ultimate opinion on this is I don't think this bodes well for Tyler's headspace that she's currently in is just a different version of the anger that she was feeling at a child from being oppressed. Now she's feeling angry about this other thing. And ultimately, there's a lot of victimhood associated with all of it, which I don't think is a position of power for anybody. If you're operating as the victim, I think it's the wrong worldview. It's not a very enlightened worldview. And there is so much she could, an altered perspective, which J.P. Curry does offer, the altered perspective would have her feeling gratitude for the things that her dad provided for her and sympathy for his shortcomings, because he does have maybe allegedly dementia and mental illness. And so I listened to, it was a podcast, I don't even know what it was, to be honest, but it was about a mom who was destitute. And she was moving from apartment to apartment, getting evicted. She had struggles with substance abuse. She had struggles with, always had the wrong guys in her life and all that sort of stuff. So the young girl who was raised by that mother came home one day from school and complained about the clothing that she had on because she was getting made fun of at school. And the mother lashed out at the daughter and said, "How dare you? At least you're warm. What are you worried that you don't have Jordans on? You have warmth. When I was growing up, I didn't have warmth. I have real struggles that I'm dealing with. We're about to get evicted. So how dare you come to me with your superficial struggle about you don't have the right shoes on? You have way more than I ever had." And that traumatized the daughter, and the daughter developed all these weird neuroses throughout her life and became a cutter and all this sort of stuff. But I thought to myself, the mom is kind of right in a sense. But also, if you had the global perspective to have sympathy for your mother, that your mom is actually struggling with all of this, and a lot of it's due to mental illness, if you could step outside of the trauma that your mom's kind of putting on you, you could see that she's a struggling person as well, right? And so Tyler's a different version of that, where she actually has not only, presumably she was fed, presumably she was warm and she had shelter, she now has millions of dollars. She has fandom.
Which JP points out exactly, right?
Totally.
Where she is today is precisely because of what her father did. And if you dislike it, then quit. If you are so frustrated by, it does feel, another phrase here, looking a gift horse in the mouth.
I know that one.
Yeah. But that you have what you have because your dad did what he did, and whether your dad was right or whether it was,
no pun.
Yeah. Whether it was comfortable or not, or whether it was good, is sort of immaterial. And to your point too, I know people in my life who have had such hardship, but just look at it in a different way. They look at what they have, not what was taken from them. And I don't know that Tyler lives her life thinking what was taken from her, but I also do think now that this is out, and now that, the WSL has purposefully, I think, with Jesse Miley Cyrus now as the commissioner and all this, there has been a concerted push to make Tyler Wright the face of the World Surf League, which, bravo, to have a out lesbian, whatever woman. It's all fine and good for the times. Like, this is what I think the times call for. But I think, talk about pressure. Now being the face of social justice, I would imagine Tyler will have a heavier burden to carry moving forward, that it won't be like, oh, all this weight off my shoulders because I got it out. It'll be, oh man, now you're going to be expected to XYZ. And if you make one side step, you can get hammered pretty quick.
For sure. And she will make a sidestep. Everybody does, And so, yes, exactly. I'm not commenting on whether or not she should state these things, whether or not she should post these things on social media. She's more than welcome to. I have no opinion on that. What I'm suggesting is, my opinion is, just based on the headspace and her worldview, I don't think it bodes well for long-term health, not even long-term health, world titles. I don't think it bodes well. She clearly wasn't happy through the last 2 decades. I don't think it bodes well for her happiness moving forward, because there's this angst that she still has. And when you look at, and I think Kelly had a lot of that angst too, and it allowed him to win all those world titles maybe. But I feel like you look at John, and there's none of that angst. And so he's able to win a couple world titles and just be happy. Like, if you can't be happy while you're doing all of this, then to what end is it?
That's the thing about driven people, though, right? Like, what makes people great is also, how many happy 11-time world champions are there, right? Like, Kelly may be happy, but, I don't know that people at the top of their game are necessarily happy, nor that happiness is or should be what we measure, or what they should measure their lives with, right? Like, at the end, if you said I was totally unhappy, but I was crazy successful, then fine, you were crazy successful. You made a decision to do that, or, whatever, the way you were wired. One other thing here, real quick. I don't trust the World Surf League at all. World Surf League, if it's shown one thing, and even worse under the Eric Logan era, is doing anything with nuance. And so what's going to happen is Tyler's going to get pushed out as the Woken, but there won't be anything interesting or nuanced about it. They will ram her out front to represent racial justice, gender equality, trans rights, anything they want, with just like a coat of paint on it without any depth behind it. Right. Like, there's going to be no interesting stories. There's going to be no actual digging into anything. It'll just be weird. We're the wokest organization in sports, maybe even the wokest organization in the world. Look at us, look at us, look at us, without anything behind it. Maybe they'll throw money to an organization or something, but that's it.
And kind of to the point that I was trying to make earlier is, I don't think it actually bodes well for Tyler. Like, it's the exact expectation that she talked about feeling by being pushed onto the world tour at a young age.
Now she's getting pushed into
the limelight, to where if she now missteps, like, as an example, she had kind of came out in the last year or two. So she was dating a woman. She identified as being gay, and that was something that she oppressed previously, right? To her own detriment. Well, now that she identifies as that, and she's the token, did you say woken, by the way? So the woke token, now that she is in that role, what if she falls in love with a male in the future and now she feels like she can't identify as straight because all this expectation? That could be a new conflict for her in her brain that there's just this, the WSL doing that is for their own ends.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily for Tyler Wright's best interest.
WSL got to look super duper duper woke in a huge feature, on ESPN, which I'm sure, with the very clear pride and all that's emanating from WSL, it's fine. But I think it's like,
well, it's the superficial version that you're talking about.
Precisely.
It isn't, hey, let's do this and have these more nuanced conversations. They don't have the platform to have they haven't built the platforms to have those types of conversations.
And they don't care. I don't think, no. I'm sure that Elo and Jesse Miley care, obviously, about Tyler and care about these issues, but the organization doesn't care. Right. And it's a horribly poorly run organization that is going to, make sort of a mockery, which that's what I don't get the real rah-rah from the WSL.
The happiness, the question of pursuing success versus happiness, it was like, one of her quotes in that article were when she got on tour and she just thought, I wish I was in school. I wish I was reading books.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I don't know that you wouldn't have been happy there either.
No.
My impression on Tyler is, okay, you would have gone and pursued that path, and then you would have been unhappy there, wishing that you were at the beach.
I mean, talk about
like, I don't get the sense that she is actualized, even in this new iteration of her life. I don't get the sense that she is living with gratitude.
I mean, talk about stinking grass is always greener, though. Also, like, I mean, people make decisions at a young age. Your parents make decisions for you, I suppose. And then you're down a path, but you can't be on 5 paths at once, right? Like,
no,
you're on a path. And so she could have fully gone to school and all that and gotten to the point and said, my sexist parents pushed my brothers into surfing because I was a girl. They didn't push me in. So I was, I went to school and and been mad about that. I mean,
totally.
Yeah, it's silly to me to go think I didn't want this path. I mean, it's just your path. Your path is your path.
I don't discount any of the suffering that she went through as a child being in that situation. This piece didn't make me a bigger fan of hers just because I felt like her worldview didn't express enough gratitude or compassion for her dad's own kind of foibles and shortcomings.
It'll be interesting to see moving forward how much she does completely dominate every bit of what the World Surf League is pushing and World Surf League coverage over the next year or so.
I've always been a fan of her surfing, and like she could probably win world titles standing on that talent alone.
Sure.
So it'll be interesting. The other father story is the split. Gabriel Medina, who has been his whole surf experience,
Charlie's stepdad,
been through Charlie.
Yep. Whistling on the beach.
Well, I mean, from childhood, Charlie introduced Charlie owned a surf shop when he met Gabriel's mom, and he loved surfing. And so he ushered Gabriel into the surf world and trained him, coached him all the way through his world titles, all the way up until this past year. And Gabriel just got married. He and his parents stopped following each other on social media, so you could read into that what you will, and came out and announced that he's looking for a new coach going into the Australian leg. Thoughts on this?
I mean, this one, I think, whatever. Like if Tom Brady and I love when we talk about Tom Brady. I've been talking about Tom Brady like every dang show for some reason. But Tom Brady and Bill Belichick broke up, right? Like, and Tom Brady went and won another Super Bowl and Belichick didn't, whatever. But I think I could see that Medina would get to a point where he would think, hey, I've gotten everything out of this that I can. And I would think, Charlie could think, I've given everything to this that I can. I mean, kids won, what? Did he just win one world title?
Gabe?
Yeah, 2.
2.
Yeah. So he's won 2 world titles. He's the most popular surfer in the world, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, at some point as a parent, I would think that it behooves you to back away, right? Even if you're getting kicked out the door, just to take your kick with doff your cap on the way out. I don't know what Charlie hasn't responded, has he? There's been no public anything.
And he never has been public, period.
Totally. And so great. So maybe he's just saying, hey, I gave you everything. I still think that I have more to give. But if you don't think I have more to give, then, like a gracious exit. If Charlie exits gracefully, then I think that's the best case scenario.
Agreed. And so
I don't know what it'll be for Medina.
Well, Gabe said this interview, by the way, came from Waves, Brazilian surf website. And Gabe said that Charlie was going to focus his attention on coaching his younger sister, Sophia. So, and whether or not that's the real reason why he left, we don't know. But I think this was so long overdue, right?
Sure.
In my mind.
I mean, Gabriel Medina is an adult male at this point.
It was a bizarre relationship to me from the get-go. And I actually had this conversation with Akila Aipa last year because his dad, Ben Aipa, rest in peace, was a phenomenal coach that coached dozens and dozens of well-known pro surfers. And so what was it like having a dad who was also a coach and you wanted to be a professional surfer? You were a professional surfer. And Akila, and then I actually kind of poo-pooed Gabriel and Charlie's relationship. And Akila said, look, my dad and I decided he was going to be my dad and not my coach.
Yep.
However, who are you to say what Gabe and Charlie's relationship is?
Ooh la la.
Yeah, like maybe that works for them. And
Yeah.
clearly it does because they seem to be happy. They're traveling the world together as a family unit and they're winning world titles. So back off essentially. And I thought, well, give it some more time.
Yeah.
You know, like let it. And so I don't know, we don't know the inner workings still, but I just cannot imagine a scenario where you can be that incestuous and happy and healthy.
Yeah.
Like, and so Gabriel getting married recently, and he even said in this article, like, gosh, it feels good to be a normal person. I learned how to play guitar this year. I learned how to, and I've been playing a bunch of video games and all that. And so, and also culturally, it's always different, right? Parental relationships are different culturally. But I still felt like you need some distance from your parents.
Yeah.
It's bizarre to do everything with your parents.
I agree. I mean, it's I'll be curious to see what Gabriel does because I feel on the men's side of the draw, there's as much, I don't know, at the top, there's as much competition as there has been in a while. I mean, between Idolo, Gabe, John,
Kaloe. He's right
not
there.
yet.
He's right there.
Yeah, Kalohe hasn't, surfing wise, but Kalohe has not proven to me that he can actually win when it matters yet.
He's in the top 5. He's going to be taking heats off those guys, if not a world title.
If he does, all I need to see him do is take one heat off somebody.
Kanoa Igarashi also is in that conversation. Jordy. Julian.
Nope. I'm going to say the only people in the conversation, to be quite frank, are Idolo, Gabe, and John.
Okay.
Right? Kalohe could be, if he proves himself. Julian has proven he doesn't belong. Jordy has proven he doesn't belong. Okay. Jordy has proven he's had enough time to prove it. Kalohe's been on tour seemingly forever, but I think is young enough where he could have a breakthrough, a competitive breakthrough, a sort of giant killing, like win at all costs thing, which I feel that all 3 of those guys have. I feel John hides it well, but John I feel is a competitive animal. Idolo's a competitive animal, and Gabe is very clearly a competitive animal. Without Charlie, I wonder what that does to Gabe in that conversation.
So this is kind of the real conversation that we should be having. I would like to know what Charlie was even providing in the first place. It seems like there was, I don't know, just a buffer maybe between the outside world and just, hey, I'm here to keep that all out and help you stay focused. But I cannot imagine that he would be able to offer the insights of a Glenn Micro Hall or the fundamental direction that Brad Gerlach could provide.
But do you think, back to surf coaching in general, yes, like a Brad Gerlach for you or I to help us, but to a top level surfer, this idea of coaching still, I am, yes, for the layman, I would love for Gerlach to coach me or Micro to coach me, but what do these guys, besides heat strategy, where I feel that's what Charlie provided in real time with his whistles and all that, where he could sit on the beach and watch, and so he could direct Gabriel around in ways that Gabriel, do other coaches do that?
Yes, and anybody could do that. You don't need your dad to do that.
For sure, but I just wonder what coaching does in surfing, to be honest. It seems totally at the top level, seems entirely superfluous.
In the last 48 hours, I've interviewed Lakey Peterson and Connor Coffin, and I asked them both those questions. Lakey's with Snips, Connor's with Micro. And the answer was each coach is different. And my needs are always, and each surfer's needs are different. So for Lakey Peterson, it was more about what the ocean is doing and different surf spots and those types of insights. For Connor with Glenn, it's more heat strategy insights.
But I would say Lakey and Connor are both not, they're world-class surfers, but they're not the world class. I'm talking about for sure.
Kelly always had Belly in his corner, or then he hired Mitch Thorson at certain events.
But was he providing any coaching, do you think?
So I think Belly, again, each coach is different. I think Belly's role.
Belly was a caddy.
It was more than that. Kelly called Belly a coach. So I think let me restart. I think lots of times as an athlete, you're thinking about, you have these different categories in your heads of things you're trying to solve, right? I need to surf the best. My athleticism needs to be at its best. I need my heat strategy to be at its best. If you can hire a coach that checks that box for you, yeah, maybe you could run the calculus in your head, but your brain's also running these other calculuses. So I'm going to hire you to run the calculus for me. And you know me well enough to where you'll run the same calculus as me. So while I'm checking this box on my own, you can just tell me what to do over here. That's all it is.
Does John have a coach?
It was Ross Williams, right?
Oh, I mean, it was, but does he have one now?
He still is.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously, these pro surfers aren't hiring coaches because they want to spend money on a coach. So very clearly it works for them. I mean, if they're doing it, then it's working for them.
Yeah. But I question it too.
It seems like surfing is, and again, I'm no professional surfer, but it seems like you would just be in the moment in your heat, catching the best waves. I mean, I don't know how a coach helps you do that. Like I get fully showing up at a wave you don't surf very often, and the coach, I see a wave or a coach for a spot, like, hey, let me walk you through, at pipe, when you see this out here, that means this is going to happen.
Hire Jamie O'Brien for pipe, hire John Robertson for bells,
yes, or
Adam Robinson.
Yeah, and then have a manager if you want, your daily life sorted out. But if you can't figure out it's stinking surfing, for pity's sake.
Yeah, but the difference is the guys and gals who have won world titles in those
have coaches.
They do. Like Glenn Micro Hall's track record speaks for itself. Remember what he did for Wilco?
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, but
I'm clearly wrong because they wouldn't be doing it if they didn't need it.
Well, I agree with you in that I question what it is and I want the answers to what it is, but I don't agree that it has no value. You know what I mean? No. Like there's value. We're just not sure where that value lies.
It'd be fun to see a real raw product come back up through the ranks, like on talent alone, like a drinky, eating bad food, not working out, sort of Irons-esque character rise back up and see, because then we'd have a one-to-one juxtaposition, sort of, on can you just...
I mean, that was Idolo up until he started working out.
Yeah, but Idolo's like a workout freak now.
He is.
Yeah. He's in his hotel room just getting her kettlebells.
What is does Jack Robinson work out? He could be that guy because he has that talent.
Yeah, and Jack Robinson has a crazy dad too, so he could.
But he's severed ties, all but severed ties, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So back to Gabriel, the dad you and I have figured out through our sophisticated analysis here that the dad was providing, Charlie was providing, support role.
Yeah.
But not really offering the type of insights Glenn Hall or whoever else.
I mean, you just can't imagine that Gabriel Medina, unless he saw something, unless Charlie's running video so much that he can see when Gabe's knee is slightly out of place and then tell Gabe, hey, you're bogging that turn because your knee is slightly out of place here.
No.
You don't think so? You don't think Charlie was just running massive video?
I think they were. Yeah, they were absolutely doing that, but he doesn't have the insights that Micro would have.
Except he's been watching Gabe surf since he was a little nugget.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I just think his role was more of a support role.
Yeah.
But
who's going to coach Gabe though?
Exactly. So back to your question, if that role's gone, you don't need that role anymore maybe because now you're married and whatever. You finally developed into an adult. And so then what do you actually need as a coach? Because maybe to your point, who can coach Gabe? Who knows more about heat strategy? Who knows more about ability to get barreled? Who knows more about how to do airs?
Do you think, though, that he was rattled in losing to Idolo? Like, he got hammered by Idolo.
Maybe more rattled than he has been with any other
he got punched straight in the mouth and surfed a silly heat and he got whooped on.
In the with his own, he got beat his own game.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing is John has such a contrasting style that Gabe could just be like, well, I got to stick to my game and I could beat John style. But Idolo's he's a goofy footer. He does airs. He gets barreled
yeah, he's not afraid to go.
He's a competitive animal. Could be.
So at that point, then you're looking for 0.10s of difference in your coaching, right?
Yeah.
But and so could say a Kerr or a Micro say, hey, look where you went low on this wave. You should have said that. But that's what I don't get is all waves are different anyway.
That's not what they're doing.
They're not. They're not saying you blew this, but every wave is different.
I know.
And so what you can't really, Yeah. I don't know anything I'm talking about, by the way, but it just seems like looking at all that stuff would just make you more confused.
So that's why I don't think that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I'll relate this back to the Tyler Wright thing when I was kind of talking about her worldview and comparing it to John, who I feel like is actualized. That I think the coach's role should be to get you to a healthy mental state where you're actualized and you can kind of
be in the moment.
Yeah. And fulfill your potential.
Yeah.
And so that's where I feel like Tyler, the way that I interpreted her worldview is she's going to be your own worst enemy. The way that I interpret Gabriel's worldview is you're going to self-destruct. Like the only person who could beat John Jones in the UFC
is John Jones
through cocaine and hookers.
Yep.
And the only way Tyler Wright can beat Tyler, or the only way person who could beat Tyler Wright is Tyler Wright through thinking, I am oppressed and these things are out to get me, and I'm going to stand up and be the vocal point for all of the oppressed people. Now she's got all this undue burden on her that nobody actually put on her,
Do you think, though, that Tyler Wright, through skill, is so much better than the field that she could just win going out and employing, even though she doesn't like it, but just going out and employing everything her dad more or less drilled into her? Just go out.
She's not that much better in the way that Kelly was that much better when he hit the scene.
Who do you think? I mean, I guess Carolyn Marks will be nipping on Tyler's heels. I mean, it already is, and younger, and yeah.
I think the kind of 4-way through 5-way battle on the women's side is Carissa, Steph, Tyler, Lakey, Caroline.
Okay, if you had to put your money.
Caroline.
You put your money on, Caroline coveted. Do you think Caroline's going to get into Australia in time to compete?
Yes.
You think so?
Yes.
She has to quarantine for 2 weeks. So I guess she just has to get a clear test. It's still over 2 weeks.
She already got the clear test.
Oh, so she's already on the way.
So that her not making that charter flight, it was a false negative.
Oh.
So she did 3 tests in the subsequent 48 hours and they were all negative. So she got approved for travel, and I would presume she's en route right now.
Okay.
So she has to quarantine for 2 weeks once she gets there regardless. And then there was a 10-day window before the event starts. So that gives her plenty of time.
Okay.
So she'll be all right.
So you're putting your money's on Caroline Marks for the win, for the Australia leg.
For a world title this year, even.
This year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think she's the woman to beat.
Let's not call it a world title this year.
Right. The interim world title.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, hey, best of luck to Gabe Medina.
Yeah. I mean,
do you think he'll even pick a coach for Australia? He said he wants to, but
no, I mean,
so the options are.
I just don't know why. Again, see, it's funny I'm so spouting nonsense because the thought of surfing, but you're doing it, I suppose. The thought for me of surfing with a coach is so antithetical to what I think of as surfing.
I know, me too.
Like what I love about surfing, even if I'm stinking at it, is to be in the moment, is like the fact that it is so, that moment is so fleeting and just sucking it up or soaking it in while you're in it. But I suppose the feeling is better when you're surfing better. As what you're saying. So, yeah.
So his options would be, as far as you and I know, in terms of professional coaches,
Micro,
Snake, Jake Patterson, who's retired from coaching to run a sunblock brand, but he retired ultimately because there was no tour, I think. If he had opportunities, I think he'd jump back in, and this could be the best opportunity.
Gurr's already in Australia.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Snips would be an option. The thing I worry about too is Micro, Snips, those guys have multiple athletes.
Yeah.
How could you train 5 different people successfully?
That's true.
Pick one.
Who does Snips have on the guy side?
Chloe Andino.
Oh yeah. Still? I thought those guys split up.
Oh, did they?
I thought they did, but
maybe they
did. Could be wrong.
I thought he had Kanoa maybe?
Yep.
I know Kanoa was with Snake for a long time, but I think Snips maybe now. I don't know. And then Chris Gallagher was doing it with Jordy for a bit and the Hobgoods.
I'll tell you, I don't like it. I don't like this coach talk.
Right.
I do not like professional surf. The closer and closer pro surfing gets to traditional sport, I don't like it. It makes me rankle. I'm going to come out right now and say coaches should be banned in professional surfing. Some dude wave key, helping the average guy get better, fantastic. No coaches allowed in professional surfing. If I was the commissioner of the World Surf League, I would ban coaches.
Cancel coaches.
I'd cancel them right out.
Well, what I would like to see is a coach embrace creative expression. I would worry, you're right, I would worry that everything becomes too homogenized and the coaching becomes mechanical, or the surfing becomes mechanical.
What makes Gabriel versus Idolo versus John versus anybody fun to watch for me is always the personal flair. And you like a surfer because their personal flair, right?
Yeah. And Gabriel's too robotic already.
Sure. And so, it's coaches.
Yeah.
Get out of there. You're wrecking surfing.
Did you survive pipe with your survival league pick?
Yes.
Are you going back in with Nui? Are you going to play again?
Yes, of course. I think I picked Kelly before it got canceled.
For pipe?
No, I picked Kelly for Sunset. And then, so I have to go back in. I was just thinking about it. I just saw an Instagram post from the Survival League. Have to go back in and swap out Kelly since Kelly is being a jerk, a selfish man, and not going to Australia.
I am going to wait to make my survival league pick until the day or two before the event.
Yeah.
A lot can shake out between now and then.
A lot can.
Somebody could get COVID.
Are you going to be looking at free surfs in the 10 days? Are you going to be basing it upon who's looking sharp?
Somewhat. I have a complicated calculus that I run.
It's going to be in Newcastle, which...
I want to see the forecast.
Yeah, okay. What if it's small? What if it's 2 to 3, wind blowny?
Kanoa Igarashi.
You're going to pick Kano?
Yep.
Okay.
I might go Connor O'Leary.
You're feeling...
Ethan Ewing.
You're feeling Eye of the Tiger on Kanoa.
Well, Kanoa is so reliable. No matter where you put him in the world, he's going to post 2 7.5s.
Who do you think, which professional... We haven't talked about professional surfing in so long. It just feels strange. Who do you think is going to come out and this year off, more or less, or whatever? I mean, they surf pipe, but... doesn't really count. Let's be honest. Just a one-off event. Who's going to come out and do well because of the long break? Or do you think they're all going to look the same?
Because of the long break or because of the new tour stops?
Long break, new tour, everything's changed. They're so used to, for so many years in a row, it was reliably, snapper to bells to West Oz to da-da-da-da. Like, they knew what they were doing. They were in rhythm. Now, the rhythm not only is shattered, but they're all new stops.
So I think the surfers who would do really well on the QS are who you want to look at.
Yeah, who are used to going out and competing randomly.
Yeah. And at marginal waves.
Yeah.
Connor O'Leary, Ethan Ewing, Kanoa Igarashi. He's won in Huntington twice.
But I bet those guys are going to get up I totally agree with you. They're going to get up into the quarters. But I feel that those guys don't have the chops to win. I feel if there is not that they don't have the surf chops, they just don't have the mental chops. Like if there is a Gabe or an Idolo or a John in the quarters too, then I really do feel, unfortunately, as much competition as there is on the top of the men's draw, I feel that there's no competition for them. So you pretty much punch your ticket if you're those guys, I feel.
It's hard to argue against Gabriel and Idolo because if the waves are 2 to 3 foot slop at Nui, they can win that event easily.
I mean, I suppose it could hamper John.
It could hamper John for sure. Yeah, there's the other conversation is who is it going to hurt the most?
Yeah.
It's going to hurt Jack Robinson. Certainly would have hurt Kelly Slater. Kelly's only chance to win a 12th world title is if G-Land's on schedule, Cloudbreak's on schedule, Chopu makes it.
Isn't it strange, though? I mean, it really is strange to me. We talked about it already, but sitting third in the world and tapping out, like, what else has he got going on? I mean, it's not like he's in doing a bunch of stuff, right?
No.
Like, I get not wanting to go quarantine. I get not wanting to go surf crappy waves, but you're literally third in the world right now. You go sneak in, get a second. I mean, you could be a legit title threat, which would be a great story.
It would be. You're right, he's positioned best, but I don't think those stops in Australia, those events do not benefit his surfing.
Of course not, but he could tap back into his inner QS warrior.
It's too old, too brittle. So here's the other question that I had for you is there's no chance he slinks away
Oh no,
out of the limelight
for sure.
for the next 3 months?
He's going to wherever is big and pumping, and he loves to do that. I feel he loves to make a mockery of the World Surf League, even though it's as much his as anyone else's.
Well, and beyond even just going and getting better waves, he's going to do some shenanigan just to wrench the limelight back.
Of course.
So what are your predictions?
Yeah.
What kind of stunt does Kelly pull to wrench the limelight back?
I just think it'll be like big perfect cloud break or something like that. It'll be like, and it'll be so big and so perfect that he will make covers, newspaper covers, around the world for this phenomenal 40,000-year-old man still doing it.
Agreed. I think he's going to start doing TikTok dances though.
Ooh.
We're talking bigger than big waves. We need something to go viral.
You think
either a cooking channel on TikTok.
He can make slime.
It's already passé.
Yeah.
Like what's coming next? That was last year.
Well, daughter got straight back into slime. She's jumped in with 2 feet back into the slime pit.
I think he's too old for the slime demographic.
It's true. What else could he do?
I could see, a jaunty hat.
Yep.
Maybe some jewelry.
Do you think Kelly Slater will launch some progressively woke organization? Do you think
Save the whales?
He will become the face of Save the fill in the blank?
Yes.
He could do that.
With a TikTok dance.
Yep.
And a hat. I think that's the trifecta. And it'll maybe launch on TikTok. That might be the platform. And that'll be what he spends the next couple of months.
No cloud break for Kelly. He's going to be too busy.
Yes, that too.
Okay.
Yeah, that too.
Okay.
He's doing both things. He still loves to surf.
I mean,
it's not like he's giving up surfing to go do these things.
That's true. Okay.
It's that he loves surfing, but that's not enough. Like I've already been doing that for 30 years and getting the spotlight with that. There has to be some other way to wrench the spotlight.
Speaking of Kelly, how did you like Kelly damnation of the royal family?
I didn't understand it.
Wow, he hammered.
Yeah, it didn't. Yeah, it wasn't that clever. I didn't really get it.
But it was truly mean. Like it was honest to goodness, which is funny. This is what I found funny. You want to know what I found funny, David Lee Scales?
Yeah, I'm going to pull up the quote while you're...
Yeah, you pull up the quote, and I'm going to just talk about what I found funny. I feel Kelly Slater has been on the receiving end of vicious, from me personally, a lot of them, of vicious barbs just because he is the, big fish, right?
Yeah.
And so you just like can throw vitriol at him because it's funny, right? Or fun. So I feel Kelly's been on the receiving end of just like mean things that people say, people who don't know him or know him well, right? Kelly turned around, which again, the amazingness of Kelly's lack of critical thinking. He did the exact same thing to a fish bigger than him, right? He doesn't know the royal family. He doesn't know anything about it. I mean, he knows exactly what we know and probably thinks he knows more because he probably has friends of friends who know Harry or Meghan or whatever, right? Or so, but just a vindictive screed. I mean, his thing was like, you're inbred. It was.
I'll read it.
As bad a read it. It's as bad as any troll has ever written about Kelly Slater.
So the first sentence references James Hewitt's unacknowledged illegitimate kid. Who's James Hewitt?
So James Hewitt was I think he was a soldier, had an affair with Diana. But I think it's been sort of debunked. I think that affair started after Harry was born.
But this plays in perfectly to him as the conspiracy theorist.
For sure.
Which he loves, right? So Kelly's comment about the royal interview was, I'd be mad too if I was James Hewitt's unacknowledged illegitimate kid, got essentially kidnapped and held hostage by the royal family, was forced to pretend that boring, square Prince Charles was my dad all those years. Then they cut off my trust fund and disapproved of my hot American wife because it didn't fit into their ongoing inbreeding program. Did I miss anything?
Wow. I mean, as mean as anything ever written. Very mean, top to bottom.
Pretty hilarious.
It is pretty hilarious.
It's funnier than I thought, actually.
Yeah, it's funny. It's good. It is a well-organized, well-written troll.
But yeah, you're right. If he's been on the receiving end of all the trolling that is all circumspect and rumor and all that, all of that is unsubstantiated rumor that he's just piling on top of one another to form a conclusion.
And let's be honest, like people lay off of Kelly, but there are real questions about Kelly's, how he's handled himself as a father, let's say. And so to go all in on criticizing another father seemed like really, come on, Kelly, like how honest to goodness.
What's worse than that is even claiming that it's not the kid, that it's not your own child.
I mean, Kelly's lack of self-awareness continues to astound and amaze. Thank you, Kelly.
What I appreciate and love about him, though, is his willingness and desire just to slug it out in comments.
Yeah, that was on the. It wasn't
hilarious.
his post. It was the Batuta Advocate, which is a very funny Instagram, like a satirical Australian Instagram thing, and that's where
like the Onion for us.
Yeah, that's where
does he even know that it's satirical? Because I've seen him take. Maybe he knows overall, but there's been one headline. It was a couple of months ago that he argued against as if he didn't realize it was satire.
I mean, that's again back around to Kelly Slater is the 11-time world champion, the million-time world champion of lack of self-awareness. Like, I think he has so little self-awareness as to be like historically important. Yeah. People will look back on history and think, who is the least self-aware person ever? And some people will say, I think maybe Donald Trump. And no, it is Kelly Slater. Robert Kelly.
Should we go to commercial?
Let's do it.
All right. Hey, Chaz, eBay is still with us. Can you believe it?
I can't. You know what? I wanted to talk about eBay sneakers today.
Did you?
I had a question for you.
Okay.
I still haven't been on. I mean to every time, but then my day runs away from me. Do they have designer sneakers? As in fashion, as in label, as in Dior, Saint Laurent, these kinds of sneakers?
I'm going to look it up right now. I would guess yes, but I have never once searched for any of those.
I was thinking about it as I was walking in this morning.
Who do you want? Give me one of those.
I'd like a pair of Saint Laurent, to be honest.
That's the hardest thing to type out of all of them.
Okay, do Gucci then. That's easy. I don't want Gucci, but Gucci, in case you were wondering.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
So they have designer sneakers on there too.
They do.
So it's not just athletic.
Nope.
So they have the whole gamut of sneaker.
Dude, remember when I caught Kelly Slater wearing Gucci sneakers at that art opening?
Sure
took a bunch of photos of him and then wrote an article about it.
Fantastic.
You guys published that for me on Beach Grit?
Yep.
And I didn't know what kind of sneakers they were. I was just like, look at how silly those things are. And then you identified it immediately. You're like, those are Gucci sneakers.
Yeah.
Those are available right here for $400.
Kelly Slater, you can buy Kelly Slater sneakers. You can be as...
I don't think his feet were in this pair.
I mean, you could hope. Are they used or are they new?
They have both.
See, look at that. eBay sneakers.
eBay.com/sneakers. Well, there you go. I didn't even know, but yes, they do. And you know what I was going to say? Like, I'll just read the ad copy if you want, or I'll give you an anecdote. My anecdote was like, I just need life to be efficient.
Sure.
I don't want to, if I want a sweater, I don't want to have to like find which brand makes the best sweater. Give me a one-stop marketplace where all the brands exist and where the high end and a third party who has like a rare vintage of it, you know, all of it's in one place.
I love it.
Simplifies our lives.
I love it so much.
From this point on, if you ever need shoes or sneakers, you know where to go.
How much do you think about shoes in your life?
Not really that much at all.
Really?
Rarely.
Thinking about shoes.
Well, once a day I think about them.
Thinking about shoes dominates probably a good 40% of my brain power per day.
Wow.
Yeah. I like shoes.
Thinking about which ones you want to wear, thinking about...
It's either being bummed on the shoes I have on currently or thinking about what I would like to have on. So that's probably 40% of my day.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So I have one thought a day, and it's which pair do I put on?
And that's it. And you don't think about them until you take them off at night.
Correct.
Wow.
And considering that, I have way too many pairs.
Yeah.
I don't wear the vast majority of them.
How often do you get rid of your shoes?
Never. That's the problem.
I see I'm regularly flooding.
Purging?
Yeah, purging.
Okay.
A binge and a purge.
You know where you can get rid of them?
eBay sneakers?
They don't charge you a seller's fee if they're valued at $100 or more.
I'm gonna get on today.
So not only can you buy, you can sell there. There's no seller fees for sneakers $100 or more, but they do have their own team of authenticators. So you can buy confidently. If you're buying one of these pairs of Gucci that's coming from a third party, their team of authenticators susses it out, and you get a guarantee as the buyer.
Do you think you could ever reach shoe stasis on ebay.com/sneakers where you're buying and selling and breaking even forever?
I think you could.
Because you could, sneakers, of course, go up in value, certain ones.
If you knew the market well enough.
Yeah.
Like a day trader for sneakers.
Exactly. But I'm saying you have to wear them too, though. They're your sneakers. But so you
How many times do you have to wear them?
I mean, you have to wear them. These are your sneakers. No.
Can I just go get coffee and that counts?
Nope. You have to wear them for a while and then resell them at a higher price than you bought them for and get another pair at then equal price and reach sneaker stasis.
If you have the talent to do that, you should be devoting it to the stock market.
But what if you don't, your brain doesn't work stocks, but it can work shoes?
You sound like the right person for this job.
Man, I'm hitting it.
Okay, perfect. That complaint that Cersei made last week about
She's
99% a great husband, you can solve that other 1% through your sneaker stasis.
I'll be saving money on shoes yearly.
Awesome. eBay.com/sneakers. Chaz, we're back.
Man, it's a good one.
I feel like we should just like cut all of our commercials into its own episode, and it could be like a.
How many commercials do we have on these days? How many commercials are the? Okay, sweet.
We got one right now, but April 1st we'll be launching 2 new important partnerships.
Very exciting.
That will not only be entertaining ad reads, it'll keep people healthy and fit.
Subscribe now.
To avoid.
To avoid.
Smart. All right, so we got Barrel or Nah.
Let's do it.
We were talking about cancel culture a lot last week with Cersei. I saw a pretty solid meme. Actually, a guy sent it to both you and I. Pepe Le Pew got canceled, the Looney Tunes character, right? And in the comment section underneath that article, Joe Pug wrote, "I'm glad he's canceled and my children are safe. Now my son can get back to playing Grand Theft Auto, where he just set a hooker on fire so he didn't have to pay her."
I laughed. I chuckled out loud when I read that.
I mean, it sums up the world we're living in.
Sure does.
So beautifully.
It's all just absurd.
So beautifully.
Absurdism.
I drive up the freeway. There are Grand Theft Auto billboards, or there was another one a couple of years ago. I think it was called Red Dead Redemption, maybe.
Yeah, of course.
These video game billboards, right?
By Rockstar. Same company makes both those games.
Okay. It is a criminal face, torso on the billboard with a gun pointing down, and it actually goes off the billboard. It's like an extension for the gun pointing down at me driving my car, because the game is Grand Theft Auto. The port of the game is to steal the car. So it's this guy pointing his gun at me, and off on the side, kind of in the background, is a hooker in a G-string with her booty showing, like pointing it out towards me in a sexual advance. Like, I'm looking at that billboard driving on the freeway going, how does that exist?
Do you think that Grand Theft Auto gets canceled? I haven't heard any whispers of it getting canceled as a game.
It's
as a franchise.
so far out there in your face that it's uncancelable.
Yeah. I mean,
like if they apologized, then they'd get canceled immediately.
Yeah, they said, we're sorry that we...
But I'm like, honestly, I'm not easily offended, but I'm driving down the freeway kind of like, oh my God, that thing forced itself into my awareness, and it's unpleasant to be interrupted by.
Did you ever play Grand Theft Auto?
No, I've never. No,
it's so much fun.
I haven't played video games since James 007 on Nintendo 64.
GoldenEye. Oh man, yeah. But
how good was that game?
So much fun. So the single bullet version, the whatever
the
it's called.
Gun?
Yeah,
that was the best. Man, I gotta get that game.
Yeah.
I would love to spend an evening on that game.
Just playing Bond, GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Who was your favorite character to play?
I don't even remember.
I think I like the Russian girl. I think you could play her.
It's been a long time. This could be a barrel and I'll save it for the future. Video games, we'll save it for the future. Don't do it yet. Okay. Barrel and off, following the royal family. You already alluded to this a bunch, but it was in my notes.
I'm going to say barrel.
Really?
I'm going to go barrel. Yeah. I don't do it myself. I'll peruse the occasional headline, I'll click on the occasional headline. But yeah, like I feel that the royal family is there at this point, mostly to entertain us. And they're doing a really good job these days, I'll say. I mean, of course I know they're there for stability and for all these things, but let's be honest, especially from an American perspective, that's not my queen. And so entertainment is what we get out of them, and they've been entertaining lately.
They certainly have been, in all the ways they don't want to be.
Sure.
Like, I don't think they want any of the press that they're getting, but of course that only serves to elevate their status.
That stinking charge of racism was a real doozy.
I don't think it was. So
you don't, I mean, because it makes you not doubt at all that they are racist.
of course, we already knew that.
But do you know it?
Look, first of all, what is racist, right?
Sure.
Like, are they actively oppressing minorities from getting jobs? No, I don't think so. Are they burning effigies on people's lawns? Probably not. But are they only marrying white people? Yes. Are they perpetuating a stereotype? Probably. So the whole thing wasn't even news to me. When Meghan Markle's like, somebody had a conversation with Harry about what the baby's skin tone would be. I was like, yeah, duh. Of course they would. Of course they would. Like, is that even a news story? Why is I know Oprah's has to be righteously indignant, but she can't be shocked.
Do you think that Eric Logan, CEO of the World Surf League, watched his old boss and pal Oprah from the edge of his seat, from the edge of his Manhattan Beach seat?
He was in Australia, but he Instagrammed about it.
What a dumbass. That guy went to Australia?
I think so.
Stinking typhoid.
I don't know. Maybe he didn't. I presume that he did because I know other staffers.
He sure did. He for sure is there.
So first of all, I got roped into watching that stupid interview.
Oh, you did? I didn't watch it. So I guess you
had
follow
to download Paramount Plus and make a trial account that I then canceled immediately thereafter.
Oh, it wasn't on CNN or something?
It was on CBS, but I guess they're owned by Paramount.
Okay.
So I was pissed about the process, but I'm like, all right, I could watch this for an hour. It turned out to be 2 hours.
Yeah,
with
long.
So many commercials that really it was only 40 minutes probably all told. But there was nothing of substance. Oprah didn't do a good job. For everybody saying Oprah did a great job, Oprah did not do a good job. She was so sympathetic towards Meghan, which she should be. But then she was like holding Harry to the fire over nonsense. I'm like, and also didn't get anything interesting out of any of them.
I feel that, and I'm one to talk, but I feel that there used to be great interviewers.
Yes.
In society.
Mike Wallace.
Sure. That would really like.
Barbara Walters.
You know who's a fantastic interviewer? Yeah. Derek Riley.
I believe it.
Derek Riley is a phenomenal interview, which is why he does important books about Bob Hawke and things like that. But I feel we don't have one of those anymore. It's just celebrity. And since Oprah is the biggest celebrity, so she'll do the interview, but she's not a good interviewer.
Joe Rogan is the worst.
Yeah.
He's the best known, highest paid interviewer right now.
And he's an awful interviewer.
Awful.
Yeah. We don't have the art of interviewing has gone away.
Oprah's are so soft.
Because that's not what she's supposed to be.
Exactly.
Oprah's a daytime TV host
right.
who gets the audience to empathize, right? And so she's good at creating empathy, but she's not good at getting to the root of a real thing but also with that Tyler Wright interview, again, same thing. I've got nothing against that. It was a well-written piece, but the interview was neither good nor insightful.
No. It was a for the outside world that wants to know about surfing. They got a little insight into some of the misogyny and the structure and all that. And it's an interesting character study of Tyler Wright. And it would even make you sympathetic to Tyler Wright because of the adversity that she's overcome. If you don't look beyond that next layer, which the interviewer should have done, which is you're still angry.
Where's the dad? Yeah.
You're still angry.
I'm gonna go talk to other people.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the royal interview, first of all, the skin color thing, I thought was a non-story. Like, of course they would question what skin tone the baby is going to be because of their track. And then also, it could have been innocent. What if they were just like, your baby's going to have a beautiful skin tone like that. The mixture of your color skin with your color skin is going to be gorgeous. That could have been the extent of the conversation.
I think that's racist now, though.
Just to say that the
I feel it is.
I will go on record right now at the risk of being canceled and make an argument that the most perfect skin tone aesthetically is Beyonce's. Like, when you look at a Ferrari, it should be red, right? There's certain curves to a Ferrari that like red looks the best on. Jaguar, that Jaguar green looks great.
Oh, yeah.
I think the human body looks great in Beyonce skin tone. Like that is, and if the human race continues to breed throughout all time, we're going to end up at that skin tone, right? Enough kind of everybody, if Andy Warhol had sex with, I don't know who's on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Naomi Campbell's pretty
Naomi
dark.
Campbell.
Yeah. This is going to be the thing.
I was going to go Diamond Johnson. What's that actor?
Yeah.
If Andy Warhol and Diamond Johnson made a baby, you get Beyonce.
Yeah.
So over a long enough period of time, through enough kind of cross-pollination, let's call it,
We'll all reach Beyonce.
which is a great place to be.
Sure.
I think it's a beautiful, it looks the best on the curves of a human body.
Okay. I'll be curious if this is the thing that gets us canceled.
I think it's not controversial.
I mean, of course not. But I think that's what gets you canceled, is when you say something that you feel is both complimentary and okay.
And I feel passionate about.
Sure.
I want my skin tone. I want my child's skin tone to be that.
Yeah, that's really good. That's
all right,
good
we'll
stuff.
see how this goes. Let's put it out there. Let's see how this goes. So following the royal family, you're going.
I'm going barrel. I'm
going
saying
nah.
they're for our, especially as American, they are for our entertainment. Be entertained. Enjoy it. I don't watch the dang
That's the
interview.
problem is it wasn't entertaining.
Yeah, don't watch the interview. I never watched the interview. I knew that Oprah was going to lob softball questions that were going to be, woe is me, why, cry, that it was not going to be good. I didn't care about the interview.
So
the reaction was interesting to me though.
Yeah, the reaction is the first 20 minutes were about who made who cry, Kate or Meghan.
Yeah.
And I was seething while I was listening going, where is the story here?
Yeah.
Where is the zinger going to be? And it was nothing. It was just the press said that Meghan cried, but
actually,
they said that Meghan made Kate cry, but actually it was the opposite. And how dare the press? And I was just like, this is honestly what we're talking about. So I agree with you. I would love to be entertained by the royal family. It's so not entertaining.
You're not entertained.
Every once in a while I chime in or I tune in and I go, where's the entertainment?
When is Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan going to surf Kelly Surf Ranch?
So they are sliding down the scale of esteem.
Now they're producers.
Now they're making shows on Netflix.
They have a production
Next
company.
thing they're going to have a podcast.
Yeah, totally.
That's when they get invited.
Prince Harry, come on.
That's when they get invited to Surf Ranch.
Okay.
At that point.
So when they start making podcasts.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. The reason why Princess Di has become more famous than anybody else in the royal family ever, and is actually even kind of who people think of when they think of the royal family, is because she was a pauper who got elevated to princess.
Yeah.
That storyline is compelling.
Except I don't think she's really a pauper. Let's be honest.
She was a school teacher. She was a kindergarten teacher.
But I think she
wasn't a proper pauper.
I think she was royalty though.
No.
Yeah.
Was she?
Her family was from something. She wasn't just a Joe on the street.
Oh, fair enough.
Jane on the street.
But she was a normal person who got picked to be princess.
Yeah.
That was the storyline, whether or not it was accurate. So that was super interesting. And she then continued to be interesting by trying to maintain her kindergarten teacher roots and then raise her children that way in the middle of all the pomp and circumstance. So all of that was interesting.
Then dating
this
an
is
Egyptian.
not interesting.
Yeah, it's true.
This is not interesting. All right. Barrel or not, working with your parents, working with your dad.
Ooh, like your dad is a carpenter and then you become a carpenter.
This is obviously based on Gabriel Medina, but yes, this is you, doing exactly what you just said.
I'm going to say barrel.
Really?
I'm going to say if there's like a family line, your dad's a surfboard shaper, his father before him was a surfboard shaper, father's father before him was a surfboard shaper, I'm going to be a surfboard shaper. It'd be kind of nice, right? If you could look at the path of your path of life is chosen. Stinking Tyler Wright didn't like it, but I don't think that'd be so bad. If you have skill, if you have ability.
You have to really define the relationship is where the problem lies.
If your father had a convenience store, successful convenience store, wouldn't you be happy to become a cashier at that convenience store? Own it someday?
you'd want to continue your father's legacy in a sense. You wouldn't want to hand that off to some rando, right?
Sure.
But
Farmer?
your dad, can you ever fill your dad's shoes, firstly? He's going to have expectations for you. There's going to be all of this complexity built into the dynamic or you could just be my father and I could be your son.
I hear you, but I like a family legacy. I like when I drive by a sign and see, Johnson and Sons. Mm-hmm. Fine. It's a fine.
What kind of business is that?
Well, if I could pick which business I'd want to choose, I think it'd be a convenience store.
Really?
Nice, good
I feel like there's
store.
TV shows that are that exact story.
A solid convenience store. Like, to sell some beers, have a little bit of a wine selection. You sell vodka by the pint.
Okay.
That kind of convenience store.
Do you have the aspiration to make it a chain of convenience stores?
No.
Now that you're the son, taking over the business, you're going to revitalize it.
There's one in Cardiff down the street. It's like perfect. I think it is the fathers and sons work there. And it's just like a good convenience store, a one-off.
And does the dad still work there?
Yep.
I feel like if I was the son in that exact scenario, I'd be like, hey, Pops, you work super hard. Go ahead and just start drinking. Just go sit in the back, entertain the customers.
How fun would that be?
Get drunk. We'll give you a sandwich board sign. You go out there and you start corralling customers in.
At the convenience store, you have everything you need.
Totally.
You get hungry, grab a bag of chips.
Totally.
You want a drink, you got ice and any kind of drink you want. All the mixers too.
Totally.
As long as you want to mix it with Sprite or something.
Yep. Yeah, you can bring in any mixer you want.
I mean,
you're a convenience store.
That's true. The one I like does have mixers.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. I like this scenario.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm talking about.
All right.
Yeah.
I worry that it becomes the father-son relationship becomes convoluted.
No.
But you're saying it's an investment in it.
It's exactly
you get to spend
what I'm saying.
more time together.
Just enjoy the convenience store.
Okay. Yep. Enjoy the convenience.
Yeah.
Hire a bookkeeper though. Have somebody else pay the taxes and make sure that every penny is accounted for.
Yep.
I think that'll keep you out of trouble.
Yeah.
This is related to my recent conversations with CTers who are quarantined.
Okay.
Barrel or nah, meditation.
Nah. I am not a meditator. I pray like a good Christian should, but I don't meditate.
What's your prayer practice? Every day?
Yeah.
Mornings, nights?
Mornings, through the day, but mostly in the morning.
What do you pray for?
Just for a good day, that I'll do good stuff, be a good father, that kind of stuff.
Do you find that A, prayers are answered, or that B, there's just kind of a, I don't know what, like a purge that you feel after getting it out?
I think it's just an awareness, a perpetual awareness that, I am not my own boss, sort of.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see.
Like like being aware every day of I am serving God. I'm not here for myself.
I think listeners are going to be shocked by this reveal.
It comes out, I think this comes out every once in a while, and I think people are shocked every time it does come out.
I'm wondering if meditation serves the same purpose for the human psyche.
I know humanist.
But I wonder if it does.
No. It's a waste of time.
It has to be ascribed to a being.
Yes.
Okay.
To a deity.
Okay.
To God.
All right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, mindfulness and meditation is just spinning your wheels.
Spinning your wheels. Go play some Grand Theft Auto instead of doing that. It's
so
fun.
the understanding that I have from a lot of people who I admire and look up to is that it provides tremendous calm and benefit, and also like allows a quelling of their anxiety to process the rest of their life.
You know what else does that? Drinking and going to sleep. Except then you wake up with way worse anxiety.
So there's negative consequence of the drinking.
Yeah.
Physical.
There is. I mean,
consequence.
It
whereas the meditation
takes the edge away for a while.
The meditation could have only beneficial.
You could have done something actually fun during that time.
Okay, but if Connor Coffin wins the next event, can we agree that it was because of his meditation?
If Connor Coffin wins the next event, I'll give you that one.
Okay.
If Connor Coffin wins then Newcastle, then yes, meditation is beneficial and valuable.
Will you download an app and do meditation for 1 week if Connor Coffin also wins?
Yes.
Done.
Okay.
This is the wager.
Okay.
All right.
In.
I'll let him know.
Okay. Let him know.
This is on the line. Chaz's health and mental wellness is on the line, Connor, if you do not win this event.
Connor, if you win the event, I'm going to be so bored. I'm going to wake up every day and think, man, I got to dumb meditate right now.
You can drink while you're meditating.
Can you?
First of all, if we made this wager and I didn't say that you couldn't, then yes, you can.
Okay.
You are welcome to, as far as I'm concerned.
But I have to do I have to listen to the app and listen to Deepak Chopra say, now go into yourself.
You have to do the breathing.
Okay.
But in between breaths,
you can
take a nip.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
I'm in.
Cool. Sweet.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to.
No barrel.
So thank you, Album Surfboards, for hosting.
Sorry for all the surfboards that fell off the wall and sounded like they got fully crushed.
That sucked. We got it on tape.
Yeah.
And for you listeners, go check out Josh Kerr's new edit, Sway.
It's totally awesome.
Otherworldly. Great example of a father.
Mm-hmm.
Father edition
The best.
of the grit.
The best.
All right. Well, until next week.
Get barrel.